Here we are. Bop, 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 bop.
Beep, boop, beep, beep. Isn't that funny how we thought robots would talk like that, but they actually talk like humans? Because
Yeah, they sound like what's her name? Angelina Jolie. No, the other one.
Scarlett Johansson.
ScarJo. You know, me and ScarJo are friends. I saw her at a restaurant once, so it kind of means we're friends.
Really?
Yeah. Well, maybe it was her. I don't know. I saw the back of her head, so it could have been anybody. Actually, I
just were you eating the same food?
Yeah. I mean, we looked at the same menu at least. Yeah.
Where
Friends.
was it? LA. It had to be. LA.
Well,
nice.
I think you were there, Jaina.
Was I? Well, I guess I'm her friend too. So Travis, are we live?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So today I thought it'd be fun to talk about something that it's been on my mind lately. And I know like outside of the cast, we've had discussions, Max, on this too. It's the idea of content versus content. So as people who spend a lot of time online for work, for making dope things and creative projects, I just wanted to kind of discuss how we can sometimes do things offline as well to be content with our lives, because we had discussions around social media and how a lot of people are almost confusing content creation with their own identities and how that can be troublesome. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of like have a roundtable discussion.
Jaina, do you feel that pull that there's like that you substitute living your life for creating content? Do you ever have that friction?
I've never really been like a content creator in like the sense of like trying to make money or living off of it. I think maybe this is like the closest thing to creating content for me, which is very lo-fi, which I know that you wanted it to be. In the past, we all kind of, I mean, I won't speak for everyone, but I was on Instagram for a while, like posting pretty consistently, but now I don't really post. I think the last post I did was like 2022 or 2023 or something like that. So I'm not in that routine of like trying to think of what I'm going to post next. And I've kind of released myself from that, which is really nice. To not really have to like
release yourself from it.
I think I feel what you're saying, because I'm the same way. Like I don't post content. I make stuff. The problem is we know that we have to. If we live in a world now where it's, depending on your career path, that's kind of become a mandatory part of your job for promoting yourself and like it, depending on what you do. But if you're a designer, a developer, a musician, kind of anything nowadays, it's highly advantageous for you to have a social presence and make content and establish yourself as an expert in your field and that kind of stuff.
Are you telling me you've never made a video
up against the pressure
of pointing? You've never made a video of like music playing and then like pointing to some words?
No,
that wasn't you.
That's TikTok, right? So those are like trends, right, on social media. I think Max is talking about like almost creating a portfolio style thing, like or tweeting
like your professional identity. If you don't have one online, it definitely makes it harder. It's just a huge advantage for people that are good at that versus people who aren't.
Sometimes it can feel, depending on how much you pay attention to that stuff. Like I kind of like watch YouTube a lot. Go figure. But it kind of I get into this mindset where I'm like, oh, everybody is like
knows about this stuff that
everybody has to make videos or do content or something like that, because you see like a wide strata of people, like from professionals doing like having a show and hosting a show. Like I would say like this is like semi-pro in a lot of ways. Like we have a structure, we have a brand, whatever. And then you see like some like just it looks like family people, like mom's sitting in the car waiting to pick up her kid, talking to the camera about something like that. And where it's not necessarily like huge and branded, but somehow it gets into my awareness. So I just have this impression that like everybody is involved in online social media.
I would say majority of people are. Yeah.
Do you think that's real? Like it's a real
Oh
impression?
yeah. I feel like if you go into
Involved,
public
yeah.
spaces, like if you see
Yeah.
most people are on their phone creating some or taking pictures or video to create content with eventually in their normal daily lives, I would say.
Our son said to me this week, like, Dad, somebody was making a TikTok in class.
Yeah, and that's 6th grade. So it's like yeah, I think it's like Max was saying, it's kind of hard to escape. It's so integrated into our society now that it's not even odd to see that anymore. It's not like sometimes, like there's accounts like influencers in the wild where it kind of would poke fun at that and make it like break that wall. So you're like kind of like behind the curtain in Wizard of Oz and you look at it and you're like, yeah, that looks weird. And then you see the video, you're like, oh, that looks cool. That they actually made. And yeah. What were you going to say, Max?
The thing is that like the emergence of social media originally was social. It was like for friends and family to communicate and like and it's changed into such a like self-marketing thing and a necessity for marketing.
Yeah.
It's become just a massive advertising engine.
Yeah.
And that's kind of its sole purpose.
It's interesting because like where are we human in that or like where do our identities lie in that? And I think that's like the interesting topic or discussion on that is because I feel like at that point when you're trying to feed it into the algorithm, it will eventually feed content to other people. You are in a sense becoming that algorithm. Like you are, or are we being fed that we have to be that algorithm? Like, is it chicken or the egg situation? Like it's like a cycle.
Oh yeah. I think the algorithm is teaching you what you should care about quite a lot. Like it's very influential in your whole like world of concerns.
Yeah, it's definitely a powerful variable in the equation. But for the most part, the echo chambers people create, we do it to ourselves. Like people, and obviously the algorithms don't help. They give more of a sugar trail for the ants. You know what I mean? To follow. But yeah, we do it to ourselves mostly, I think.
How did you phrase it, Jaina? Content versus content?
Yeah, I was talking about with somebody. And we were having this discussion because it was just interesting to think about like how are you content being fed content? Or I think we talked about this last week, is like when cameras are off, you don't have your phone around, what are you doing? Like the things that you do because you just genuinely love it, and if no one else saw that, that's your identity, that's part of who you are. And so like I think I started playing around with that idea when I did my second ultra marathon distance, and I'm like, I'm not going to post this on social media, and I'm going to see how I feel about that, because it's like, to me, like that I worked really hard at that. I was running like 10, sometimes 20 miles a day during the pandemic when I could have done a lot of other things, but I was like working really hard towards the goal, and I was proud of it. But I was like, but why would I post that to Instagram? Like, what are the validations that I'm seeking? Like, I did this thing that I should just feel good about it within myself. And so I started testing that out. And
well, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like, if it was the old days of social media, it would just be your friends and family, people and you'd just be like, hey, look at this thing I did, right? Now everything is a product. Now it's like the whole world has access to it. And so you post a thing and it's like, to what end? What am I becoming? Is this becoming a product that I'm managing, this thing online?
Right. So your presence is a product online, as you're saying, like your social media.
Very much so, yeah. To multiple parties, including us, yeah. But I see what you're saying. It's kind of like do I take a picture of the sunset or do I just enjoy it for myself, right? This is not necessarily a new thing, right?
Right.
But with social media, there's a lot of people have this impulse to like, oh, I want to post this. I don't have that. I don't post shit to social media about my life or anything. I don't that doesn't even occur to me.
Yeah. Keep keep it private, keep it close to yourself.
Yeah.
There was a time where, like, when Instagram first launched, actually, this is back when Max and I worked together. I remember taking photos of clouds and sunsets all the time and being like, yeah, this is dope. And it wasn't like I'd post it to like get as many likes or something, but it would just be like, this looks good. Share this. Like, this is fun, you know?
Well, it was like an artistic platform back then.
Yeah.
That wasn't even about connecting with friends or family. Most of our friends and family weren't even on it yet when you were doing it. That was more like, what cool filter can I make this look vintage?
Yeah,
like it was taken in the 70s or something.
Yeah. There was a more focus on the creative aspect, the photos. People, there was the app that came out at the same time. I think it was called Hipstamatic.
Hipstamatic.
Yeah,
I still have
loved that one.
Called.
Dude, I have all the
and
filters.
That was the beginning of like taking like the toy cameras and kind of digitizing those as filters. That was the first time any of us had seen anything like that. And we got to play with it. It was fun.
It was really fun. Yeah.
And it was more artistic and
Lomography.
Lomography, yeah.
With the pinhole camera,
Yeah.
That's true.
And at the time, it was only friends. Now it's everybody. Family, strangers.
Right. Yeah.
Fucking TMZ, celebrities, like just everyone's in the same thing. And it is messed up because the same place where we used to go to be like, hey, friends and family, look at this thing. It's also the same place where businesses are going to like launch these highly targeted ads and campaigns, and where celebrities are going to you know, pitch
sell
the next
you
movie
T-Mobile.
or like, yeah, exactly. So it's all this stuff is happening in the same space, and I think that's also what's kind of fucking people up psychologically. And and I've said this before about like, I think that the future of interacting with things that we like online are going to be like smaller interest-based communities with just better platforms rather than these kind of just big bucket of everything and everybody in it with the algorithms. It's
where you always feel like you're being monetized or being sold something. And I think that's where, like 2 or 3 years ago, I started seeing that shift of like, I wasn't even seeing most of the people that I was following in my feed. It was mostly like products or just like random for you stuff coming through. And then I think people are like used to that now. But if we can remember like a couple of years back, it wasn't like that. We weren't always seeing. It started with ads and then it became the
mostly saturated with stuff from people you don't know.
Right.
For the most part, like the people you do know that post, I think they do prioritize those because those will show up in like reels, and you can tag people as close friends on Instagram at least. But for the most part, as you scroll, it's just shit from the world, from just random accounts that you follow, and right. So it also depends on how disciplined you are with who you follow and what you follow. Like there are people that can just keep a private account and only follow friends and family. And keep their shit on lockdown.
I have a private account.
That's not encouraged though. Instagram doesn't want you to have a private account because it's harder to monetize.
Yeah, I remember at one point, and this is maybe 5 years ago, I like just unfollowed everyone with the blue check unless like I knew them in person, and it just became this thing like I'm not gonna be connected if we've never met in person. Like that was like the thing. But then there's this really weird idea of like still being attached to people that you kind of knew in high school. And like, you know, prior to social media, like you'd have high school reunions to like catch up with people. But now you're just like always connected to people. I feel like people don't even aren't as motivated to show up to those things as like you kind of see what everyone's doing. I don't know.
You know, I've kind of noticed that with like the various accounts that I have at the time are connected to different eras in my life. So like the Facebook, I don't ever go on it. It's like a dinosaur, but all of those connections that I made are from a certain time, like that post high school era where it was like, let's keep in contact. Let's use Facebook. And then Instagram came, and that's like from an era of like kind of my art friends and stuff. And then, you know, just on and on. But it is interesting, like that each of these accounts, each of these platforms represent a different version of myself and my interest in my friend groups. It's by account. Isn't that interesting?
Your digital footprint has like little historical segments.
Funny, Well, what's the reverse of what you were saying? Like, how do you get content? Like, what are you trying to?
Yeah, I thought it would be a nice discussion because I feel like people listening or even ourselves, like, you know, there is that struggle to find time outside of this, like where we're at right now, even hanging out on the internet. And I just wanted to like discuss any tips that you might have or things that you do to help keep you grounded into like nature and like reality outside of virtual reality.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have already practices though. You run, you do kung fu, you do a bunch of like human things in person.
That's a big one.
Already,
finding
right?
things to not have your phone, like not. Yeah, I don't really record myself.
To interact with real other humans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes people go outside and end up getting using that for a like oh, I'm gonna take a selfie or I'm gonna take a photo op while I'm out. Yeah, like, and it turns out to be like the reason that they're out there, you know.
Right. It's almost like proof that they did something.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we got the gram, now let's get off the hill, you know, kind of whatever. Like, you see that on a hike a lot, you know, people at the top taking a few photos and then they leave pretty quickly without really trying to, you know, take a moment to absorb the view or like whatever is up there.
Yeah, stop and smell the roses, bro.
Yeah. Bro, have you smelt these roses though? I think that's for me has been true of going outside, like go touch grass, bro. like that's
you go surfing.
Yeah.
Every week.
Yeah.
You guys have pretty good social hygiene.
I try to. I can have days where I'm stuck just behind the screen and I just feel it. And it's like draining. And I do go for a run every other day up the hill, and on those days I'm like, yes, I'm ready for this, because even though it's not social, like not connecting with people or whatever, it's like going out, maybe just connecting with myself or just like seeing something different. The other day, it was just beautiful double rainbow, and I felt like I was like running through
double rainbow.
Yeah, I was like running through it. Like,
That's so
you
great.
could have put that on the internet, and you could have been the new double rainbow guy.
I could. If I had thought of that, then I could be internet famous.
That guy was in Hawaii too. That was.
Was he? Oh, really?
I think that was in Hawaii. Yeah.
That's fun.
He was right though.
He was right to be.
He was 100%
mind blown.
Yeah, it is mind blowing.
Yeah.
I liked how you used the term social hygiene, because it kind of like does help us to understand like you have to take care of yourself in that way too, because as humans we are social creatures, and we mistake social media as socialization because we're like DMing or whatever, you know. Oh, thank you, Mohammed.
Nice haircut, Max.
You're so nice.
What is a Josie hat? What is this? Thank you.
I think nice hat.
Oh, nice hat. Yeah. Miss Jana. I like it when people call you Miss Jana. It's very cute. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for the comment.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, I like that terminology, because are you
sleep and social hygiene are important.
Oh
things.
Yeah.
I like the concept of sleep hygiene as well, but social hygiene, it is important. But it depends on people. Like, everyone has a different lifestyle and are different levels of introverted and extroverted. But that being said, everyone does need some type of social interaction. It is a necessity. Some people need more of it, some people need less. I personally have to be mindful because I work alone. All the stuff I do alone. Music production, the video shit, the programming, design. It's all solo shit. When I was younger, I was a skateboarder. That's another thing you do alone. Like when I was a teenager, that's in a
skating alone. Skating was always in a crowd.
Well, I would hang out with people, but you also do it alone. It's a sport. Right. You don't need anybody to. You can go out with a skateboard and do it by yourself.
I think I understand. Yeah.
Else. It's not a team sport.
At
all. But yeah, it was easier as a kid to find like-minded people and do the things that you do alone with other people, right? It gets much harder as you get older. So you do kind of have to be mindful and find your people that you just have to go do shit. Like last week I went to like a blockchain meetup that my friend runs.
Nice.
And then on Wednesday I went and played at an open mic. Like I'm trying to
so cool.
reintegrate myself into society and do things. Because it is true, like, especially for people that work from home and people are more isolated, and then your identity is, and your access, connection to the world is in this place that's mixed up with everything in the world. And your identity is just lost. It's just staying in the sea of other people and advertisers and businesses and all this stuff. And it's just kind of lost there. And I think people have a much harder grasp on the concept of their own identity when that is where their identity exists. It's not grounded, and it becomes disembodied, right? And ultimately, our identities, the psychological part is quite disembodied, but it is in the body, and it is the expression of the body ultimately. And we are living more and more in a disembodied society. Everyone's in therapy, everyone's in their head all day, everyone is on the internet all day, everyone's imagining and daydreaming. There's nothing wrong with imagining and daydreaming, but we're losing our grasp on reality collectively, I think.
Yeah. The physical practices, like being, like you said, in person with other people, or being outside nature.
Yeah. Being reminded that things are real and other people are real and the world is real. I think that gets lost in a lot of people's, even people that go to their job and they interact with people, and the people get into this autopilot thing, and they become almost disassociated and disembodied. And just like a ghost following their body through the world.
Especially with now, like, so many trends and aesthetics, and like even like ways to be, like there was like Brat Girl Summer. So I do kind of keep up with the things, but like there's Brat Girl Summer, and now it's like to be like very demure, but that's like in a season. It's not like this is how a modern woman should be for like a couple of years. This is like, okay, summer you're gonna be a little bit crazy, wild party girl. Okay, now you're gonna be demure for fall. It's like, what?
Well, that's like,
it's like
trend
confusing
and style.
That's straight up Wally.
It's actually like a way
the new trend
too.
is blue. The new trend is red. That's straight
up.
You know what I mean?
That is,
everybody brat girl. Oh wait, everybody demure. Like that's totally what it is.
Yeah, if you can picture like the ocean and the climate above the ocean, right? And it's changing, and the ocean's moving, and the conditions up there change, right? That's kind of like our outward identity. But underneath, deep down, the water has its own currents and stillness.
Deep down, deep,
Yeah. But that trend, right? Like seasonal trends and what people are into, that is kind of just the current up top and the weather patterns up top. But
I really
think
like that metaphor.
People stay up there though, and they kind of don't establish or build the deep.
David Fincher was saying like it's the fish. He called it the big fish. Is it David Fincher?
David Fincher. That was
Lynch.
David Lynch.
David Lynch. The big fish are deep. In order to get them, you have to be patient, and you have to go fishing. You have to really go down there and get the big fish. I really like that, what you're saying, like if you want to change to blue, to red, brat girl, to whatever, demure, like that's on the surface. It doesn't really mean much.
It does, though.
Go on.
It does say something about what's underneath. People are like, you can't judge a book by its cover, and it's like, sometimes you can. Because it is, the way that we carry ourselves, the way that we dress, how frequently we change, like those are expressions of who we are. And that is literally all they are. All of those things are only expressions of who we are. They're not anything else. So you can look at those things, and it doesn't say everything about a person. It doesn't say everything about the deep waters, but I think.
Yeah, do you think there's danger in the idea of that, like what were trends before were the way you dress, but now it's being tied into like a way of being and identity? And do you think that?
Well, I think that ultimately is the thing. It is just our attachment to identity, and people forget that identity changes, and the experience of life is such that you seem to be in the center of all things all the time, right? But it is true that you don't have the same body, brain, or mind that you had when you were 7 years old. And you're not going to have the same body, brain, and mind you have now when you're 70. It's constantly changing. It's just the sensation that you're experiencing it that persists. and that's what makes you feel like you're the same person. And people think like, oh, I'm going to grow my hair out long and dye it and do this, and this is me now, and this is me forever.
Yeah.
And they don't realize like, oh, they're going to get older and have a job and have to pay bills, and then maybe have a family, maybe lose a loved one, maybe go through stuff, have heartbreak. Like everybody changes and they're going to be different. So it is this clinging to identity, and I think a lot of that comes from fear because people are afraid to die. But I think we're kind of always dying. You're always losing identity. Like you can go through a divorce or lose a loved one or go have a horrible accident, and you're a different person after that. You're a different person.
C. Gardner says, "Don't follow trends. Be the authentic you."
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing from you, Max, is that there's kind of like to really put your finger on authentic you might involve some trends, might involve some following.
Well, allow yourself to find out what you like.
Right.
Through experimentation.
But I think I think the true authentic you is recognizing that there is no you. There is this cloud of things that's shifting, and it's drawn hopefully by what you authentically like, right? Like I don't know.
I feel like we can find different ways of expressing ourselves and like try on different things, like we would try on different clothing, I guess. But like if it's not feeling that's something that like really resonates with you and who you are and you're like in that deep part of what we would consider like your soul, then maybe that's not authentically who you are. And I don't know. I feel like, so do you, Travis, how did
this is a good this is a good one because it's really easy to answer, because my relationship with Jaina has changed me to my core. Jaina constantly impresses me with how much she cares about other people and is very sweet and thoughtful. Where I in the beginning of my life was a very selfish and angry person, and Jaina kind of is this really great counterbalance to that, where she taught me to consider other people, to appreciate the value, like the warmth and like the variety and maybe even the struggle that they bring in to things. Jane is constantly considering the experience through the other person's eyes, and that's a huge lesson. So loving Jane and just having to like be in her world and to try to like exist in that plane forces me to start also considering other people and to consider how their experience is, and starting with Jaina, but then even others, right? Remember when we first started being together, Jaina? You're always like, what is going on with this guy?
No, I mean, in the same respect, like I feel like you've helped me to be more grounded in reality, because I feel like oftentimes I can romanticize things, or I can like empathize to a detriment, and to the place where I find myself going out of my way or getting myself in situations where there are certain people you can't always trust, and helping me form more like a boundaries and instead of right away like being like, oh, this person's amazing, I'll give them all my trust, like at least figuring out I don't know how to explain that, but
well, consider how to consider yourself. So I'm
exactly.
Like selfish.
Yeah.
I'm always considering myself, but you're naturally like unselfish, considering others. And so like we do bring this kind of, I think, a good balance to each other in that way. And I have to my core been shaped by that over these past 20 years. You guys were celebrating our 19-year anniversary coming up next month. It's really exciting.
It's September 1st.
Is it already? Oh, it's September 1st. So it's this month. It's exciting. And then to answer the other side of the question is,
congrats. That's awesome.
How did loving Max change my identity? Well, I do love Max. Max is amazing. So the thing I love about Max, and like what Max tends to unlock in me, is like an appreciation for things, appreciation for humor, appreciation for creativity. I think what I love about Max and observing the way he works and creates is that he is very bold. Max is very brave with his creativity. And I really, really admire that. And so that would be one thing that I've like learned from my relationship with Max, is just leaning into what I really think about the thing, what I really want to feel about the thing, and trying to pull that out and express it. Yeah, and also just, dude, Max's humor. This guy cracks me up so much. Dude, so many good memes of just laughing until I'm crying, you know, with this guy.
Because usually when faced with this kind of question, people have like how characteristics have developed or changed or been influenced, or the characteristics of people. What's interesting is to kind of bring it back to Earth, right? Because that's a disembodied thing, right? Back to Earth, like how has it actually changed behavior? I mean, you guys have built a family, you have kids.
Yeah.
You and I have been friends and we've worked together and we have a podcast now. We're all, you know, like it is interesting to look at the real world interactions and see what, not how it compares to like the disembodied characteristics that are perceived over time, but like,
I got a real
what the
world one for
correlation
you
is
then.
between that real world behavior and
Do you
its
recall
effects,
maybe like
you know?
2-3 months ago, I was like, when we started our cast in the green room, I was like, wah, 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 down and down. And then, and like you just did a classic Max. You're like, hey, think of it this way, boom, you know, and like you went existential on it. You went a little nihilistic on it, and you said like, here's the facts and here's the reality of it. And you kind of like snapped me out of my self pity or whatever it was. And so like things like that, those are instances where my identity is changing through my experience with you, through my collisions with you or my encounters with you. And that's like an example of the many, but we've been friends for like, 20 years. So there's been so many of them. Yeah.
Same here, brother. Love you, man.
Hearts. Here's another one from Mohammed. These are great questions, Mohammed. Travis, what do you want and you need to change in your current identity? Pass the question. Okay. I was telling my therapist about this week. Like I was like, hey, I'm really upset with all my procrastination. Like I was telling him, like I went to, it's like our car, like the brakes were like, and I was like, it's like, I can't drive this anymore. I feel unsafe. I was like, fine. And then I was like, instead of changing the brakes, I'm just gonna sell it and get a new car. That was my solution. And so I'm taking a picture of it and sending it to this guy I know that works at a car sales. And he's like, bro, the registration is expired. I'm like, what? And so now I have to go register the car, and I had to take it in, get the brakes fixed, and they're like, we need to do a safety check on it. You need to like, where's your insurance? And I'm like all this adult shit. I'm like, oh God, okay. So like my procrastination is something that I would love to change in my identity. I would love it if I would just kind of like Johnny on top of it. Like I think that would simplify so much for me. And I hate letting people down, and I feel like this is the reason I do let people down, is because I put things off into the last minute. This is why, like last week when I was talking about having an accountability partner, it's like really the only way that I can get things done is if like I know I'm going to let somebody down. So okay, yeah, let's pass the question to Jana or Max. Who wants to go? What do you want to change in your identity? That's an interesting question. Identity.
I actually think about this a lot and have been thinking about it a lot. And it is one, discipline, more discipline, and seeing discipline, like just to kind of get back into kind of hustle and grind mindset, discipline, and viewing discipline as a form of self-respect.
Dude, yes.
Not as something you have to do or you need to do. It's something that you self-respect. It is something you have to do and you need to do, but it's something that you just do, like brushing your teeth every day.
Self-respect.
Yeah. So yeah, discipline, like and again, it's the same thing. You said you went to your therapist. I don't even need a therapist to tell that I'm sick of my own procrastination. It is discipline that fixes it. It's only discipline that can fix it. And it is that kind of just do it, right? That is definitely something, and a better ability to let go. of everything, of all things, like feeling that from the moment, from my thoughts, from I was listening to somebody, I can't remember who, but they were talking about hanging on the ledge of the side of a cliff. You're holding on by your fingers. I wish I could remember where I heard this. I can't to give credit to this quote, but whatever. But you're hanging on your whole life is hanging on this ledge, and you look and you see your family. Everybody's also hanging on the ledge, on the side of this cliff, and the whole world. Everyone's holding on, and just by their fingers. And then the person next to you says, "Oh, you know what? Actually, if you let go, you just float up." And if you're in that situation, like, who's going to be the first one to do it? Like, being able to do that.
Right.
And even if you see someone do it and they float up, like, you still have to, there's a feeling from within to truly let go. And it's called faith, I guess. I don't know what other word is, that, the ability to truly let go is some type of act of faith. And that word has weird connotations, but the definition of that is letting go, is truly letting go.
So what's an example of, like, letting go? What's an example of the type of letting go that you kind of feel like you need more practice on?
It is an attachment to, I guess, just like a certain social anxiety, a certain type of reflection or introspection that I'm sure a lot of other people use as an excuse to procrastinate. Right? Often we're stressed or whatever, this thing I'm thinking about. Oh, I can't be bothered to think about work because it's all it's all comes from laziness and fear of letting go, and it's that kind of stuff, and it brings us back to discipline.
Dude, I listened to this Captain Bezos guy, Jeffrey, Amazon, and he said something. Yeah, it blew my mind. He goes, stress is not from things that are going on in your life. Stress is from the things that you should be doing, the actions you should be taking, but you're not.
Yeah,
that's the source of stress. You should take action on it, but you're not, and you know that, and that's what's stressing you out. If you're taking action on the things, you don't feel stress, even if they're hard. Even if they're hard and big, you feel energized. You feel like, oh, this is something that I'm working on. I'm taking action toward it. And geez, it's so simple. The answer is so simple. Write a list of things that are stressing you out and then take action on those things. That's the huge stress relief. And and it's true. I can't disprove it.
Yeah,
it is true. Yeah, even little things, like most people, like their laundry, they're like the dishes, like normal things that people do every day. A lot of people, I think, especially increasingly now, it's like they feel like they have too much to do in the day.
Yeah.
But for the most part, most people, I don't think, are really doing that much at all. That's the crazy thing. We're in a state of like collective procrastination.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of goes back to the media, like social media and content and all the things that
it's such a good escape.
Distract ourselves with.
Distraction.
Part of it's good, though. I think societally we're shifting into a place where individuals want a different type of self-sovereignty. They don't want to work for somebody. They don't want to have a job working 9 to 5, getting paid shit to be a wheel in the cog in somebody else's machine, right?
Right.
For industry and for sustaining large groups of society, if things aren't mechanized or AI isn't implemented, then we do need people doing that stuff. But I think we are getting to a place where more and more people are questioning how to live life, and it's a bumpy road, and we're seeing a lot of people kind of get scared with that. The scariest thing is freedom, being in charge, the direction. I think that's where you're seeing all of these problems popping up, because people are realizing, like, oh, I'm in charge actually. Each and every one of us is actually the one in charge.
Freedom equals responsibility, and that's the tough thing about it. We say that we want to be free, but like, do we want to be more responsible for things?
It's responsibility, and also for your own destiny and figuring out what you like and what you want to do, and like
Oh yeah, totally.
That's a different. That's a very difficult thing that people are faced with, and I see it. Living in Europe, and I've seen like countries get hit with the West essentially, get hit with the internet, get hit with things late, right? You know what I'm saying? And I can see how it affects large swaths of like the young psychology in different places where they're like, they used to live in a place where grandma and grandpa and their grandma and grandpa before them like got a job, met somebody, had a family, worked, got a house, and that was it. Mwah, beautiful life. Now there's the internet. You got to be somebody. You got to do something. You got to have a business. You got to make $1 million. You got to, it's overwhelming for people.
Right.
It's fucking society up. Because the other option is like get a job, and it's like people are like, I don't want to go work for someone else. Like, so what's the other option? Start a business. Well, now you got to be an entrepreneur. Now you got to know how to make content. Now you got to know marketing. Now you got to do like it's a lot for the whole world. And is everybody in the world going to just become content creators or entrepreneurs? And that's the thing. Not everybody can, and not everybody actually wants to. And a lot of those people are hitting the wall of that choice where it's like they feel like they have to, where it is good enough really to kind of. Is it that bad to live in the town that you grew up in, that your family's from, have a nice job, find a nice
There's a trend about this. What's it called? Homesteading, or there's a trend about this where it's like a rejection of this pressure to be online and be I guess not necessarily online, but like be
living off the grid and homesteading.
Yeah, I think the pandemic really it's
funny
made
how
us
we
ask
come
those
up
questions quite a lot.
It's funny how like on social media they come up with these words for just like life. Like there's another thing like raw dogging a flight, like not watching a movie or like just
raw
being
dogging
in
a
some place.
flight.
Yeah, not reading a book or watching a movie, no headphones, just being there. That's like another.
Oh my gosh.
What's the point of that?
That's so funny.
Exactly what we're talking about. To be there, be present. In the moment, like
not on your phone when you're like sitting there waiting for something.
Raw dogging is
but that's just
present.
how people used to be, and now it's like this scary thing. It's terrifying for most people to be present for even a moment.
Yeah.
Dude,
well, the other funny thing is like
just be raw dog right now.
Raw dog.
I'm just gonna raw dog.
People going off the grid and like homesteading. It's funny because that's also like there's a lot of content creation on it, which is a little bit ironic in that way too.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I live off the grid, but here's this like YouTube channel of how I build my house.
Tell everybody about it. Yeah, South Park already made an episode.
About it.
Yeah,
that's so true.
I do. I feel that pull. Like if I didn't tell everybody about it, like I wanted to ask you, Max. Like when you did an open mic on Wednesday, did you record it at all?
No.
Nice.
And so I'm like,
it was just a test run. Somebody did record it though. Like the guy that. Yeah, I raw dog it, but the guy that runs it recorded it and like put some clips on Instagram. But like, I'm so neurotic that like I'm like, oh, I don't like the way it sounded. I don't like any of this. Like, but that doesn't mean all that means is I'm gonna just make sure it's better next time. I bring my camera. If I'm gonna publish it like that, I want it to be professional. It look dope, which is a problem because it's like. Where is the line where it's like, I just put it out there, who cares? Versus, no, I have a bar of professionalism for the product that I do put out. And when it comes to like social media, the way I approach it, it is really just for marketing. Like when I have stuff ready that needs to be marketed, that's when I'll engage those networks. Otherwise, it's like, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's thirsty when people are posting otherwise. Unless there's
unless they have a product to sell.
Unless there's another goal other than their identity. Yeah. If it's not about your identity or ego, it's like, no, this is my business, or this is the thing that I'm promoting. This is the thing that I create. It becomes a different thing. And I actually like that. I think it's ultimately those networks. That is the purpose of them now. Unfortunately, the purpose of connecting with friends and family, that's not it anymore on those platforms. Maybe still on Facebook with older people. There's not really, because for the most part, people that are friends and family, they text. Do
you raw dog Facebook?
Whoa.
Sorry. Okay. Let me. Let me do a Muhammad question. We got another Muhammad question.
Yeah.
This one's interesting. If one day you lose your memories, what are the things about your identity you want to know?
I think for me, it's like, what did I do? What were my actions? What did I do? Who did I spend my time with? And then I'd probably go to the people that I love and trust and know to like share their memories that we shared or encountered. So like to see myself through how they experienced me. And even though that wouldn't give me like a whole sense of like full identity of myself if I don't have my memories anymore, but it's like that's kind of how we get to live in legacy, is like those stories being shared, passed down anyhow. And we do kind of like, we're no longer attached to that because we're no longer here, but somebody else has that memory, like of your grandpa, he did this or he said that, or those stories that we get to share that hopefully continue to get passed down, but maybe at one day they're obsolete.
I wonder if I did lose my memories, what kind of person I would be. You know what I mean?
I was going to say about this question is that you would be the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Your genetics would still be bouncing up against the environment, regardless of your memories.
Yeah, but like I've learned so many things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like earlier we were talking about how has my relationships with y'all changed me, and I think significantly. And
but
so,
do you think that has formed actual physical neural pathways that would still be there? Like,
so like the nature.
There are physical effects. Those things aren't disembodied. It actually does shape your physical being. So if you lost your memories tomorrow, you would still have those, like, the structure. So the person that you've become as a result of your story, I think you would still be.
Really?
But yeah.
Well, why do people relapse on
interact
bad habits then? Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Like I feel like if I've done like all this personal work and blah blah blah, and then I lost my memories of that stuff, would I just be the base level Travis, which is like the angry, selfish person?
I don't know.
It depends on how much you overrode those neural pathways, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
Like,
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
The only thing I would want to remember, or like I'd want to know, is like what were the things that I'm good at? Because kind of like my story, it's like if you can never, it depends. Like, am I ever going to get my memories back, or is it out of the question, right? In this thought experiment, because it's out of the question. If it's like, oh, I'm a different guy forever. I wake up and I don't remember it, and I never will. And someone can tell me a story about that guy's life, but it's always going to seem like someone else. What I want to know is like, okay, well, what can I do with the body that I have now? Like, I seem to have woken up in a new body. What is this? What can this thing do? What are its limitations?
You can make music, you can design.
Yeah, and if I don't have to explore to find that stuff out, if I can just be like, here's the stuff, go for it. And I feel like I would actually be better at the stuff that I do.
Kind of like a factory reset.
Because I would truly let go. I would be like, oh, now I have I just happen to, like, Jason Bourne, where he has amnesia and he just happens to be really good at fucking kung fu, and he's like, oh, I'm just really good at it. Like, that seems
because
like a cool
the neural
feeling.
pathways, his kung fu neural pathways are pretty deep.
Yeah.
I get it. So you would still be able to play guitar. You would still be able to kind of like understand the things that you've put a lot of time into understanding, even without the memories. Even without the memories of like studying them and practicing them.
I think that makes logical sense, but we'd have to get like a neuroscientist on the show.
Right. Well, it's interesting that you said
that's right.
Like losing that memory would actually maybe help you be better at that, because it goes back to what you're talking about, attachments, and how sometimes we do. Like, I was thinking about that with Mohammed's question. Like, for identity, for me, it's like what I'm trying to change is that I do have a tendency to put people, I do like to find myself in spaces where there's high achievers, like high achieving people like you two. And in my martial arts and Muay Thai, I like to train with people who are like actively leveling up or getting better. And so like I feel I will put people up very high, and I kind of don't allow myself, I kind of like go really hard down on myself, and I create this like space where I'm always going to put people above me on this higher level
That's
and
the
then be
thing you're
down.
holding on to identity, and that's the ledge you're holding on to, and it is the ability to let go of that.
Right.
That's what I seek, and I think that I would be better at everything if I could let go of all that little piddly ego bullshit. To be honest, like,
Yeah.
do you know this concept of like a fox in a hen house?
Yeah, boy.
Have you ever heard that? You know what
Yeah.
happens? You know a fox in a hen house. You let a fox loose in a hen house. It
Yeah,
goes to
yeah.
town. It murders everything.
Yeah.
And it has a great time. And you have to imagine
That's
what
a
the
great time.
mindset of that fox is. And I feel like that, like approaching music with the ability to let go of that stuff, is the feeling of being a fox and let loose in a hen house. I want my relationship with reality to be that feeling. If that makes sense. I don't know if that
Dude,
makes
that
sense.
makes so much sense that I just want to stop there and soak that in. Because, like, the way you do a thing, if it was that pure, like if I went surfing and I wasn't concerned about, did my friends see me do a cool thing, or can I tell Jen I did a cool thing when I come home, or do I feel good about myself? Did I catch the waves I wanted, right? Do I feel good about that? If I didn't have those things in my mind, like, would my connection be to the event, to the moment, much deeper? Maybe an easier thing is playing guitar. I was singing. There it is. I was singing this week and playing guitar, and it takes me 2 or 3 songs to get where I want to be at. Like, every time I play, I have to like warm up, and it's not just. It is like to a degree warming up my voice, getting there, but also it's like feeling it, getting in the spirit of it, of playing and feeling the feedback of the vibration and being okay with it coming in and out of me and harmonizing with the guitar. So I don't feel like I sound good until three or so songs. And I wonder if it was like, like kind of like that, like the fox in the hen house idea.
Because you got to warm up and let go of something. And I kind of imagine surfing. Let's go back to surfing. If you did lose your memories, and someone's like, yeah, but you knew how to surf, you went surfing all the time, and you go, okay, I'm going to go try that. And you'd be a little nervous. It feels like it's the first time, but for some reason it's familiar.
Yeah.
You go out there, you swim, and you're like, wow, this is exciting. You catch a wave, and you're like, oh, I am doing it. I can do it. You have this confidence in your ability, but you're able to enjoy it. And I think that's a thing, too. A lot of us, like, as we grind through the world, we really take for granted the things that we have learned how to do and our abilities. And in the back of our minds, we're constantly second guessing them at the same time. And it's that stuff that we need to let go of. It is that. And just be a fox in the fucking hen house. Go wild.
A fox in a hen house. I like that. That's such a good metaphor for, like, letting go, because there's something natural. Like, do you remember the movie Wes Anderson, Fantastic Mr. Fox? The Mr. Fox keeps on killing things, and his wife is like, why? He's like, I'm a fox, and like, that's kind of funny and charming and whatever, George Clooney. But, like, you're right about it. Like he was like he was allowing himself to, like, just go into his instinctual places there. He wasn't posting that on social media. Or Boggs would have found him.
That's the thing. I never, so to go back to our conversation, I never post on social media, but I do need to start, like, being more diligent, create, like, a publishing calendar of the stuff that I'm, like, if you're working on stuff and promoting stuff and, like, building products or whatever, that is a necessary part of
if you think of it as marketing, right? Or if you think of it as like trying to get people to give you validation or likes, like
it depends on why someone's there. How you treat it. I don't treat it for that, but that's almost unavoidable as soon as you start using it. Because if I'm likes, like posting stuff for my business, now I want likes, and now I'm kind of like associating the value of the thing that I'm doing with the so it's a slippery slope regardless of whether you're using it for marketing or personal stuff, as long as you're personally invested in the thing that you're marketing. right? I mean, obviously, if you get to a point where you can just pay someone to do it for you, do the marketing, handle social media management, then you can disconnect yourself from that validation-seeking behavior.
Yeah. That it can get a little distracting itself because it's so powerful. These things are like so powerful in like validating or I don't know, the other antithesis of validation is like devaluing the thing that you do. If you post something that you're excited about and it gets like crickets, you're like, oh, is it not good? Am I not good anymore? You know, like it can be really difficult.
But if you're a fox in the henhouse, you post it and move on. You keep on moving. You don't wait around for any kind of validation.
Yeah, the fox doesn't wait around like saying, like, did I do a good job?
It doesn't even eat the chickens. It just kills them and moves on to the next one. It doesn't even eat them all. You're not there for that.
Yeah. It's such a powerful metaphor, Max.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've been thinking about it for a long time.
It's like attacking life.
Yeah.
I feel like too, it's where we were talking about before, like the things that you're going to show, the people we're going to show it to are online, right? So there's this, if you're creating online products, if you're creating things that are online, and you have to find those. And I don't know necessarily if like things like Behance or Dribbble are quite enough anymore, because that's not where people are spending most of their time. So it is that kind of like catch-22 where you do need to go onto the social media platforms to promote your products in order to like have that audience. But what I do like about this is like, Travis, I know you wanted to go lo-fi because in the past with Dev Tips, it was a lot more production based, and that kind of eventually led into some burnout type of stuff. So how are you feeling like lately with doing like a live stream? It's here, it's done, like we don't edit, like, you know, I remember in the beginning I kind of was like, oh, that's embarrassing I said that, or I don't like the lighting on this or whatever, you know, like you have to like kind of move past that. Like what Max is saying is like we don't dwell on those details or on those facts, we just kind of move on.
I think there's a certain bar of quality that I want to maintain. Like I do want the people who watch the show to take something from it, to enjoy themselves, to enjoy the energy that we have, you know, our vibes. But at the same time, there's so much that I wanted to avoid. I was really nervous about going into this project because like I didn't want to get overwhelmed with the production costs, meaning like how much time is this going to take each week? And also I didn't want to kind of like get into that whole space again where I am concerned about how many, you know, what do my analytics look like, and even like the money attached to it, you know, like and so
so it's freeing. Is it freeing in that way?
Yeah, I think we've done a good job in kind of just staying away from the labor of it. Like live streaming is so much better than, you know, editing and uploading like that. And also like the way that our conversations are coming together and the things that we're doing is coming together. I was really nervous because I didn't want to go back into the whole tutorial world. And that was something I was nervous about not approaching, because I know that a lot of the people who are fans of this channel, that's why they, you know, joined up in the first time, is that I was giving them like value that they could translate into skills, that they could translate into money. And I know that I wasn't going to do that this time. So I was like a little nervous about it. But, you know, I think that I'm getting so much out of these conversations and, you know, building relationships with the two of you in new ways that like the value is there for me, you know, so.
Yeah. And I'm grateful for the people who do like listen in or engage with the conversation. What's that?
Nothing.
It is fun though, too. It's just fun to do with friends. When I was a kid, I used to love like making little movies and TV shows. I would make like skateboard videos and make little short films and shit. Like it's fun.
Yes.
And now we live in a time where it's like you can go on the internet and be like, we have our own TV show and play TV show.
That's right.
Funny. play
And
TV show.
there also is like a space within this framework that we've built for us to do higher level production things.
True.
For example, I shared the beat video that I made a few weeks ago. Max has shared his videos. We've talked about, all of the, not only just watching it together in like the spectator type of thing, which is kind of fun to showcase something and talk about it. That's a fun way to experience media. Look at this thing I made. Let's all watch it together. That's great. Watch party. But also like diving into the art of building something like we did 2 weeks ago, whatever, when Max was showing us his Ableton live. So that's really exciting for me. I have another beat type of opportunity coming up. A friend I was telling Jana this morning, the guy I surf with, Manny, he runs a surf poetry meetup called the Surf Poet Society. And so he's like, dude, your beats are sick. Just show up and do some beats, bro. And I'm like, okay. So I'm gonna do some surf beats this week and share those, and maybe if we can capture it or whatever. See, I wouldn't make I don't know what to do with it. Maybe
I'll try to get a good zoom and like a
good zoom. That's a good zoom.
Catch a sun flare, maybe.
That's it.
I think this is a good opportunity too to say like September 1st, and we've been talking about Max and I getting together, and he's gonna start doing some live development. He has a few projects in mind, and we're thinking like Tuesdays would be morning our time, evening Max's time, and Travis can sometimes pop in if his schedule allows for that. So that's really exciting.
Tuesday evenings for us?
Mornings for us.
Tuesday mornings?
Tuesday morning
cool.
for you guys. Yeah, if anybody's still listening, whatever. I don't even know if anybody's here, but
we get views.
We will be bringing back. We will be bringing some live programming and coding to the channel to scratch the itches of everybody that is looking for the development stuff. I have quite a few things that I'm working on, so I'll be essentially just showcasing maybe some stuff that I'm working on, live streaming, coding, or focus in on a specific feature. So when we do it, here I can share my screen actually. Share screen, entire screen. So when we do it, we can. Is my screen going? Okay.
Yep.
So like this animated icon, how I achieved this and created like this reusable component that can have multiple animation states. I'll essentially just show how I built that. For
that's
the first episode,
project.
I think that'll be cool. Fun. Yeah. Start with something little, just a little animation technique.
The thing I like about your coding projects, Max, is that not only are they like interesting technical, but they're also very beautiful. You know,
right?
It's fun to learn how to something that's pretty. You know.
Thank you.
I agree.
That's exciting. So that's starting in the Tuesdays in September. So is it going to be this Tuesday?
Yeah. Let's do it this Tuesday. I'll walk through how I animated that icon, and I'm gonna actually start doing live coding on Tuesdays and then live music production on Thursdays.
Awesome.
And
that's awesome. Here on DevTips, or you can?
I'll play that open mic. No, I'll do the live music stuff on my Shy Crush channel.
Okay, let's be sure to shout that out every time.
We'll definitely tune in. That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll do Tuesdays live coding, Thursdays live cook up.
Woohoo!
And, I'm trying to create a schedule for myself. Both around like social stuff, but also like what we were talking about earlier. Like I do need to start creating like a schedule of events, of content creation windows, and just be more disciplined with being a fox in the henhouse.
Love it. Well, we'll end the stream there. Thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been great. Thanks for all the questions and prompts. We had a really good discussion. Fox in the henhouse, everybody.
Fox in the henhouse. Go outside.
Yeah.